We discuss the matter now with defense analyst and military historian Jose Custodio, joining us now live from California. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Custodio. Diplomatic protest after diplomatic protest, summoning the ambassador for talks on this laser tagging incident. But do the Chinese really care about our relationship with them? Do they really listen to us? Do they take us seriously?
Well, definitely they don't take us seriously. I mean, it's been they see us a weak nation that can be bullied, and they've shown that so many times in our ever since the mischief reef in crisis in 1995. Okay, so they've always been like that. That's how they perceive weaker nations. So we, and on the other hand, we ended up because of our capabilities, we've ended up issuing one diplomatic protest after the other. There has been some strengthening of our capabilities since the previous Aquino administration, through especially the Coast Guard. But like I said, if you just look at the Chinese ship, you would see it with a military style gun turret, which we don't have that in our PCG vessels. So basically, we resort to this diplomatic protest, but these diplomatic protests are also valuable because in the sense that they are our documentation of Chinese aggressive acts and its unlawful claims in the South China Sea, West Philippine Sea area,
Custodio,
claims that are not recognized by any country. Yeah.
So, Mr. Custodio, is this recent aggressive act of China also an indirect retaliation from Beijing for our closer relations with the Americans and the Japanese?
Well, basically, yes, and also at the same time, they've also been doing this for quite some time. If I'm correct, it was recently announced that there was already an earlier incident when a laser was also pointed at the PCG ship. But the problem, kasi with us, is that with the Philippines, is that it is frequently late in admitting that such incidents happen for fear of antagonizing China. Okay, so I think that's why the Chinese are playing up on that. They know that there is fear in the Philippine side, and that was very much telegraphed during the previous Duterte administration, where it had this defeatist policy that practically even undermined Philippine confidence in our own cause. So this the Chinese know very well, and that's why now with the Marcos administration making these initiatives that are long overdue. They should have been done 6 years ago. But now with the Marcos administration getting closer with the United States, then China is now going to test Philippine resolve, and this is part of testing that resolve. And so in other words, yes, you may have disagreements with the U.S., but how far are you willing to go with your interests here? Yes.
All right. So there's a lot of brickmanship, from the Chinese side. So apart from diplomatic protests, Mr. Custodio, what else can the Marcos government do?
Well, basically, like I said a while ago, is that 6 years should have been done earlier, 6 years ago, right? And this is what Marcos is doing. The initiatives that the Pinoy administration had done, the internationalization of the issue, finally, Marcos is doing it, and I think if ever his father's spirit is behind him, telling him, hey, this is my legacy that I did, in terms of the KIG, strengthening all these things. Don't let this go to waste. So what I'm trying to say here is that, it's strengthening also capabilities is needed. Okay, the upgrade on modernization for the Philippine military. And the PCG, it has to be continuous. It has to be properly sustained. Marcos did say something about modernization, funding the modernization.
So Mr. Custodio, you mentioned about upgrading our military capability, modernizing it. So will this all the more hasten the Philippines' plan for a tripartite agreement with Japan and the U.S.? Because we also do not have the money or the financing to be able to upgrade their military arsenal.
Yeah, in a way, let's say, how do I say this? The tripartite agreement allows us access to weapon systems from our partner countries and our allies, like Japan and the United States and even Korea, to some extent, But Japan and the U.S., there are transfers that are in the pipeline, as we speak. But the thing is that there is a need to modernize, also to pump in some resources also into our military and maritime capabilities, because of the fact that what we have right now are basically token. I would say token in appearance. We don't have that much. And so that's why we ended up becoming provider of real estate. But at a certain point, we have to up also our capabilities, because it will also result in confidence in ourselves. Because of our weak state, our weak capabilities, we tend to have also weak mentality. The mentality of somebody who's weak. Who always tends to back off. So strengthening also I would say that also increase in our confidence.
Yes. Strengthening our confidence, strengthening our resolve, strengthening our character amidst these latest developments from China. Defense analyst and military historian Jose Custodio, thank you so much for joining us on The Final Word, joining us from California.